The streaming. I turn it on, see if it works. Okay, good evening everyone. I think, is that too loud? Can you turn it down, Bill, a little bit?
I'll turn it down.
Okay.
Pastor Wilson didn't feel like coming tonight. Pastor Wilson?
Oh, yeah, Pastor Wilson, he didn't feel that
He should get out of this.
he should get out, yeah. It's a little bit cold. Yeah. I don't know how long, probably a few days. Well, it's nice to be here tonight. Thank you for coming. And last time we were only four of us, and now we have a new additional. Double. I know, hopefully. Yeah, let's continue our study in the book of Numbers, and we've been enjoying counting all the names. Yeah. So we are in, I think, chapter 4, are we? Numbers chapter 4, and that is the duties of the sons of Kohath. I would like to start the reading for tonight. Numbers chapter 4. This is the continuation of our study.
Okay. How far?
Probably, let's take a look at the 20 verses, see if you can.
Okay.
That's the whole story there.
Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Take a census of the sons of Kohath from among the children of Levi by their families and their father's house, from 30 years old above even to 50 years old, all who enter the service to do the work in the tabernacle of meeting. This is the service of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of meeting, relating to the most holy things. When the camp prepares to journey, Aaron and his sons shall come, and they shall take down the covering veil and cover the ark of the testimony with it. Then they shall put on it a covering of badger skins, and spread over that a cloth entirely of blue, and they shall insert its poles. On the table of showbread they shall spread a blue cloth, and put on it the dishes, the pans, the bowls, and the pitchers for pouring, and the showbread shall be on it. They shall spread over them a scarlet cloth, and cover the same with a covering of badger skins, and they shall insert its poles. And they shall take a blue cloth and cover the lampstand of the light with its lamps, its wicker trimmers, its trays, and all vessels in which they service it. Then they shall put it with all the utensils and the covering of badger skins, and put it on carrion beam. Over the golden altar they shall spread a blue cloth and cover it with a covering of badger skins, and they shall insert its poles. Then they shall take all the utensils of service with which they minister in the sanctuary, put them in a blue cloth, cover them with a covering of badger skins, and put them on a carrion beam. Also they shall take away the ashes from the altar and spread a purple cloth over it. They shall put on it all of its implements with which they minister there, the fire pans, the forks, the shovels, the basins, and all the utensils of the altar, and they shall spread on it a covering of badger skins and insert its poles. And when Aaron and his sons have finished covering the sanctuary and all the furnishings of the sanctuary, when the camp is set to go, then the sons of Kohath shall come to carry them, but they shall not touch any holy thing, lest they die. These are the things in the tabernacle of the meeting which the sons of Kohath are to carry. The appointed duty of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, is the oil for the light, the sweet incense, the daily grain offerings, the anointing oil, the oversight of all the tabernacle, of all that is in it, with the sanctuary and its furnishings. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Do not cut off the tribe of the families of the Kohathites from among the Levites, but do this in regard to them, that they may live and not die when they approach the most holy things. Aaron and his sons shall go in and appoint each of them to his service and his task, but they shall not go to watch while the holy things are being covered, lest they die.
So these are specifically the duties of the sons of Kohath. Kohath is one of the sons of Eleazar, and Eleazar is the son of one of the sons of Aaron. So remember the sons of Aaron, he's got 4. The other 2 died because they offered profane fire. Eleazar and I think Ithamar, if I'm not mistaken, Ithamar left. And it is interesting because if you take a look at the verse 3, it says, From 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who enter the service do the work in the tabernacle of meeting. It is not only actually in the life of the Levites, not actually 30, but if we go down later on, chapter 8. If we go back to If we go to chapter 8, 23, they started actually at the age of 25 when they started the duty in the sanctuary. And we've been actually talking about the numbers of these people, and it is interesting because all of them has to, if they're able, has to serve in the sanctuary. Anybody here served in the army during the time that you cannot go away, you cannot escape from it, and you have to, right? But when it ended, and then everybody just have freedom to do what they want, you don't have to serve no more.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're talking about when they got rid of the draft.
Yeah, we got rid of the draft, and yeah.
I think that probably was somewhere around 73 or 74. That was after the Vietnam conflict.
I see. And
Actually, Alan should know that. He's
around like that time, perhaps. Yeah. Yeah. When I read this, actually, it reminds me of that idea that the Levites, their sons has to serve nature men. They're prime in their life, and it's necessary for them to serve in the sanctuary.
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't really that they had to serve.
Mm-hmm.
It was they got to serve. They were
Yeah.
fortunate enough, because
that's another way
that
of saying it.
family was the one that stayed secure in their belief when everybody else went astray. When they lit up that calf when Moses was up, that was the only family that didn't go astray, was the Levites. And so as a result of that, God said they're going to honor that family by allowing them to be the workers of the sanctuary. So it's an honor to have to carry those supplies every time they leave.
Yeah, I think when the sanctuary needs to be moved, when they move from one place to another, it is actually a sensitive and potentially dangerous job. Because, if you don't follow the commandments of God, do you remember that story what is the name of that person that's trying to help? Achan. Trying to help because the Ark of the Covenant was falling, he was thinking, but it's just, So in other words, the work in the sanctuary and the opportunity to be working in the sanctuary during their time is actually a privilege, is what you're saying. And why is it to be, let's say, 25 to 50? How many years is that? 25 years of serving. And how many years were they in the wilderness?
40.
40 years. So probably they have duty every day. Okay, it's your turn today, the next day. Different kinds of schedule. But it is interesting that this family were entrusted to this service. So, any thoughts on this reading here? You know, when it comes to their duties, what are the things that really stood out in the reading here?
To me, it looks like the Levite family that's direct from Aaron were the ones that would take it down and cover everything,
Yeah.
so nobody else could see it. And then the Kohathites were the ones that carried them.
Carry them.
You know, and so in all of those pieces, I mean, if you think about it, like the ark, actually both arks, the table of showbread, they all had carrying rods. So once they were covered and strapped in, it seems like it wouldn't be terribly difficult to make a mistake like what happened with Achan.
Go ahead. Do you have something, Bill?
Yeah, that's, I mean, we think about what was in the ark, of them carrying, but it's the whole tabernacle they had to carry.
Yeah.
I mean, the curtains and the frames and everything is, I mean, so it wasn't just.
It's a lot of job.
Well, some of them are pretty heavy, but yet they weren't too heavy to where they couldn't handle it. I noticed I did a little study on the candlestick, and the candlestick was actually beaten gold out of one piece of gold
Yeah.
and made into the lampstand with the base, with the almond leaves and stuff. It was 94.6 pounds of gold, solid gold.
That's
In this day and age, that one piece was worth over $3 million now for just the lampstand. But 90-some pounds is pretty heavy when you talk about having to carry some of those things. I mean, how many miles do they walk when they move from one place to another? So it
is
couldn't be a real
interesting.
easy job to carry some of that, you know.
And at the same time, these are all valuable things,
Very,
special things.
Yes, very valuable.
I mean, if other nation wanted to steal it, I know there's a story in Samuel, we read that, but it's quite interesting. If other nation has the interest to steal all this kind of stuff, they have to protect it. Did you? Yes.
Yeah, chapter verse 15 is most interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, 15 is the most interesting to me because it talks about Aaron and his sons finished covering the sanctuary and all the furnishings. But the last half is what gets your attention. But they shall not touch any holy thing lest they die. Talking about Kohath
That's right.
and his family.
So they would cover, and then the Kohath, as you mentioned, they were the one who carried them.
Yeah.
It seems they're from the same family.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you have one part of the family that takes it down and covers it all and puts it all away.
Yeah.
And then you have the Kohath family that has to carry that to the next site. And so, being from the same family, only part of it can look at it while they're covering, the other ones can't look at it. I mean, that's pretty technical. Not sure why, but
That's true, because in the previous chapter we read it before that this family only works on this particular side, on this particular things or responsibility, and other family can't do that. You have to follow what you are, what responsibility you were given. And when you think about that, so the Kohathites, they are responsible to carry this. And the other family, they're responsible to cover, or probably the other family is responsible for cleaning and setting up, right? So when you think about that, what are the lessons that we can learn from that when it comes to responsibility? That okay, that family is for this, and this family is for this, and this family is for this, and they don't, as far as positions and work that needed to be done, there is no I guess what I'm saying is that there is no jealousy of the position, maybe,
No.
or there is no
Overlapping.
overlapping. Oh, go ahead.
God doesn't allow you to do that. I mean, when he says this part of the family takes down and covers, and locks it up, and if the next part, the Kohath family that carries it, if they happen to see it or touch it, they die.
That is,
I mean,
Keeps warning them,
yeah.
you'll die.
He keeps warning them, yes.
yes, go ahead, Bill.
In Remnant Study Bible, Ellen White talks about verses 5 to 16.
Yes, go ahead, please.
And it says, God is a God of order. Everything connected with heaven is in perfect order. Subjection and thorough discipline mark the movement of the angelic host. Success can only attend order and harmonious action. God requires order and system in his work now no less than in the days of Israel. All who are working for him are to labor intelligently, not in a careless, haphazard manner. He would have his work done with faith and exactness, that he may place the seal of his approval upon it. And that was some patriarchs and prophets.
Yeah. That's a very good point, yes.
I've got a question on 18.
18. Let's take a look at that one.
Thank you. Do not cut off the tribe of the families of the Kohathites from among the Levites. Now, how would Moses and Aaron have cut off the families of the Kohathites? Because they had a lesser job or something, they would, I don't know. Does that mean they wouldn't be supported
18.
under the Levitical priesthood, or how does that work?
Well, they are still the family of the priesthood because they were the sons of Eleazar. Let's take a look. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, do not cut off the tribe of the families of the Kohathites from among the Levites, but do this in regard to them, that they may live and not die when they approach the most holy things. Aaron and his sons shall go in and appoint each of them to his service in his task. But they shall not go in to watch while holy things are being covered, lest they die. So in other words, I think what Moses was saying is that I think you mentioned it, that some family, the priests, they would do the service inside, and they would cover all the furnishings. In fact, the Gershonites, they were actually the one who transport the curtains, except the veil, the inner veil, and the old fabrics and the coverings of the sanctuary. That's their job. And the Merarites, they were the one who moved everything else, including the solid elements of the sanctuary structure, boards, bars, pillars, sockets, and everything. So I think I see what I'm saying, that their job only was, was to carry, and they couldn't even see it, because according to the scripture, lest they die, is the holy things. They cannot touch the holy things. But it doesn't mean that their job is just, simple and not important. It's very important. I think what I'm saying is that God does not disregard how small or how big their responsibility is. But the point is that God has given them opportunity to serve. Did you have was there someone who raised their hand?
I agree with what you're saying. I mean, it sounds to me exactly like that he's basically saying, he's basically saying, this is part, even though the Kohaths have a lesser degree of responsibility, they're still part of Aaron's family.
Yeah.
So you want to take care of them as well.
Yeah. Because the only thing they would work is when they moved, when they set up. But then after that, let's say if they would stay there for years, then what would they do? Right? Because all the services in the sanctuary is done by the priest or by priest. So one of the, thank you for mentioning that, because if we apply that in our time today, sometimes people think that, oh, I'm only what is this, a greeter in a church. Oh, I'm only a deacon. I'm not an elder. Oh, I'm only a secretary. This position, these offices in the church that we think sometimes just kind of less, but no.
Every position is terribly valuable,
Yep.
and you can't look down your nose on any of them. I mean, they all take strong responsibility. It doesn't matter who it is.
Absolutely.
Nobody's getting paid for these jobs. you
No,
know.
it's all
You do them because the Lord, what He's done for you. You just
Yes,
want to. You just
definitely.
want to work for Him.
Well, I think
Go ahead, Bill.
that these are just names of officers, and that they have this position, but
Yeah.
everybody in the church has the duty to perform everything that the church is doing.
Yeah.
Amen.
Not just the officers, but members
Right.
working together.
Yeah.
I just think you were using those for an example.
Yeah.
The
I-
positions, as examples. But Bill's right. Every church member is the same value.
Yeah.
There's not one that's above the other.
It's just interesting, when you read this, sometimes we don't think, man, what is the application for this? But when you put it in a bigger perspective, it's like, wow, this is important in our church today. It's relevant. The principles that they use it's still relevant today. Okay, so that's why God said, do not cut off, because they are also valuable in the sanctuary,
Well, it could also be that, okay, these have been appointed to this position.
Okay.
Maybe the other Levites are looking at them and saying, says, well, they got their job over there, and we're not going to let them help us do this other stuff. I think what God is saying, even though they've been assigned the specific job, they also are responsible for the other things too, that the Levites are responsible for. Because, isn't that the case?
What are you talking about, though, Bill?
Well, it says that, verse 18, it says, do not cut off the families of the Kohathites from among the Levites. In other words, here's this family just been appointed some special duty. And the other Levites might be jealous of them, or saying, hey, you got your job over there. You don't come in the sanctuary and help us or something, do the other stuff.
Yeah, see, I was looking at that in that Aaron's immediate family take care of the priestly responsibilities. So you would think they're like that part of the family is the ministers, and the Kohathites, they just carrying these supplies from one spot to another. They're really not getting to be part of the service itself. And so God is saying, listen, just because they're doing the manual labor on transporting this sanctuary, don't be looking down your nose at them. They've got huge responsibilities.
Yeah, and I think that's another area. And then when you look at the verse, it is also interesting, because when you go to verse 15, the last phrase there, but they shall not what? Touch any holy thing, lest they what? They die.
That's right.
So remember that they are responsible for all, for carrying stuff, but then at the same time, they had to approach those furnishings. So in order for them, to, because if you go to 19, it says, but do this in regard to them, that they may what? Live and not die when they approach the most what?
Holy things.
Holy things. So God actually is preserving them. Because if you are not authorized to approach the holy things, you will surely die. But God here is the idea: do not cut off this family, the tribal families of Kohathites.
putting it in the light of our church family here, you're the minister, you're the Levite family, and the rest of us are the Kohathites. I mean, looking at it in the way this sanctuary, at least that's the way I see it. It's not that they're any less honored. Every person has the same value.
Yeah.
Just that every person also has his only responsibility. And what you pointed out was if they touch holy things, they die.
Yeah.
God's order, like what Bill read out of the Ellen White edition of the Bible, the study Bible.
Yeah, in other words, to expound that idea, there are responsibility in the church that the members can't, let's say are not authorized to do.
Yeah.
Like the baptism or the communion service. Only those who were ordained elders or ordained pastors, or the pastors that in the church. And that's why we have this ordination that we call. So I think we're, when you look at our system, our movement, it's pretty close
Yeah, it is.
to the Old Testament system.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of Adventist people realize that, but the more I think about it, the more I think about the life of the Israelites in the Old Testament. And it is a principle that we are trying to follow. All right, who would like to continue about the sons of Gershon? Let's take a look at this 21 to 28.
I'll read it.
Yes, please. And then the sons of Merari.
Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying,
Numbers chapter 4, sorry.
verse 21,
Yeah, with Kevin and yeah.
when the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, also take a census of the sons of Gershon by their father's house, by their families. From 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, you shall number them, all who enter to perform the service to do the work of the tabernacle of meeting. This is the service of the families of the Gershonites in serving and carrying. They shall carry the curtains of the tabernacle and the tabernacle of meetings with its covering and the covering of badger skin that is on it, the screen for the door of the tabernacle of meeting, the screen for the door of the gate of the court, the hanging of the cords which are around the tabernacle, the altar and their cords, all the furnishings for all their service and all that is made for these things, so shall they serve. Aaron and his sons shall assign all the service of the sons of the Gershonites, all their tasks, all their service, and you shall appoint them all their task as their duty. This is the service of the families of the sons of Gershon in the tabernacle of meeting, and their duty shall be under the authority of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest.
Yes. And could you please continue all the way to 33 then? Yeah.
The duties of the son of Merari. As for the sons of Merari, you shall number them by their families and by their father's house. From 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, you shall number them, every one who enters the service to do the work of the tabernacle of meeting. And this is what they must carry as all their service for the tabernacle of meeting: the boards of the tabernacle, its bars, its pillars, its sockets, and the pillars around the court with their sockets, pegs, and cords, with all their furnishings and all their service. And you shall assign to each man by the name of the item he must carry. This is the service of the families of the sons of Merari, as all their service for the tabernacle of meeting under the authority of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest.
Isn't it interesting the detail of responsibility that were given to them? And in verse 12 it says, and the pillars around the court, their sockets, the pegs, the cords with all the furnishing and all the service, and you shall assign to each man by name the items he must what? that is really important because let's say God will tell, okay, you guys had to journey for about, let's say, a month of journey, right? And what you are carrying is you are responsible for that throughout the journey. And you didn't have to worry about, what others, but you just have to be responsible to what is assigned to you. Anything that stood out in this reading? So we have the Kohathites, and then the sons of Gershon, and then the sons of Merari, right? Merari. So at least three big families that are responsible for what? Transportation for transporting this sanctuary. Before, when I was like reading the sanctuary services without the idea of this, I was actually thinking, man, so when they travel, the priest has to do a lot of work too. They have to carry, they have to do this. But then, the more you read, the more you realize that God put the responsibilities in order, and it's in a systematic way. So that when they set up, when they move, when they travel, and when they set up again, it's already what? Organized. So organized. That reminds me of the go ahead, Kevin. Did you raise your hand, Kevin? Yes.
Imagine, I mean, we think of the duties of Aaron and how he was responsible for all the sacrifices and to go in the holy place, in the most holy place, and he was that guy, But when you read this, you find out his responsibilities was much deeper than just the sacrifices. Wow, he had to know who Derry was and who Fred was and Skip and Bill and Kevin and Francis and Barbara and Judy and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
He had to know who everyone was, because when the temple was time to put it back up, he would call Derry first to come and hang his portion, and then Bill, and then Francis, and whoever. He had to keep all of that in order, and he had to know each one. And wow, what a responsibility Aaron really carried.
So it's called the high priest. It's talking about responsibility, by the way. That's what Jesus did. Right? If Aaron represents Christ in the Old Testament, then when we think about the responsibility of Jesus in saving humanity, it's what?
Wow. And he knew every name.
Yes. It is huge. You cannot, it's hard to fathom that.